I'm Jessica. As I sit here in this motel room, watching the flickering neon lights outside, I can't help but think about how I got here. It all started when I returned to the house the next morning, telling myself I was there for my son Tom's clothes, but in reality, I was looking for proof. The house was stifling. My sister Lily was sitting among shipping boxes, complaining about the vendors. My mom, Sarah, was at the stove, cold, and on the defensive. I ignored them and went straight to the mail pile my dad, Henry, always hid. There, I found a notice of sale from the county sheriff. Foreclosure. 6 weeks. Dad barely reacted, and Lily dismissed it as a mistake. I confronted Lily with the records. A $195,000 home equity line of credit, HELOC, had been taken out on the house. Dad hadn't signed it. He didn't even know how. Lily admitted she'd handled the paperwork, forged his signature, used his social security number, and spent the money on her phony business. When I called it identity theft, Mom exploded and then confessed she'd given Lily the information herself. She'd sacrificed Dad to protect Lily's delusions. When Lily demanded I take out a loan to fix it, I refused and said I was pressing charges. That's when Dad laughed and told us the truth. 5 years earlier, he'd taken out a reverse mortgage. The bank already owned the house. The equity was gone. Lily had stolen debt, not value. Then he showed me where the money went. Every payment had been saved in a $529 education fund for Tom. $285,000. Irrevocable. Untouchable. Lily collapsed. Her safety net was gone. Her crime was pointless. Dad stood up, said he was done, and walked out. I took Tom and followed. But let me rewind a bit. It all began when I walked into the kitchen. The air was thick with the smell of cheap air freshener and stale grease. Lily was standing by the sink, one hand on her hip, the other holding Tom's refurbished tablet over a basin of soapy water. Tom was at her feet, reaching up, his face twisted in silent panic. "This thing is ruining my vibe," Lily said, her voice flat and bored. "I'm trying to film, and all I hear is cartoons." Without waiting for me to speak or move, she opened her hand. The tablet hit the water with a dull splash. It didn't sink right away. It floated for a second, the bright colors of Tom's drawing app flickering once before going dark. Then it tilted and slipped beneath the gray foam. That tablet cost $280. It wasn't just a piece of electronics. It was 6 months of Tom skipping ice cream. It was overtime shifts in a freezer that left my hands cracked and bleeding. It was the only thing he owned that was truly his. "There," Lily said, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Now maybe we can have some quiet." She turned back to her ring light, adjusting her hair in the reflection of her phone. She didn't look at me or Tom. She just dismissed us like we were clutter. The sound of that splash kept replaying in my head. It was quieter than a scream, but ended everything. I didn't scream or cry. I just watched the bubbles rise from the screen my son had starved himself to save for. I reached into the water and pulled out the tablet. Water streamed from the charging port, dark and smelling of bacon fat. Lily laughed, trying to get a reaction out of me. She wanted me to scream and throw a fit so she could turn her camera on and tell her followers about her crazy, ungrateful sister. But I denied her the footage. I walked past her, past the ring light, the tripod, and the piles of cheap clothes she hadn't bothered to wash. I went to the living room where Mom and Dad were sitting on the couch. Dad was staring at the TV with the volume turned up loud, and Mom was scrolling on her phone. They heard the splash, Tom's crying, and Lily's cruel laugh, but they chose the screen. I went into the room Tom and I shared. The wallpaper was peeling, and the mattress was on the floor because Lily needed the guest room for her studio. "Pack your bag, Tom," I said. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. "Are we going to Grandma's?" he asked, wiping his nose on his sleeve. "No," I said. "We're leaving. Put your shoes on." I grabbed the duffel bag from under the bed and packed the essentials. Uniforms, school clothes, toothbrushes, and the few toys Lily hadn't broken or sold. Lily appeared in the doorway, leaning against the frame with a glass of wine in her hand. "Oh, don't be such a sullen cow, Jessica," she said, taking a sip. You're always so dramatic. It's just a screen. I did you a favor. You should be reading books anyway. You're raising him to be a zombie. I zipped the bag shut and slung the strap over my shoulder. I took Tom's hand. Where are you going? Lily asked, her voice pitching up slightly. You haven't done the dishes. Mom said you were making dinner. I really looked at her and saw the desperate need for attention in her eyes. She was a 32-year-old woman who had never been told no. I walked through her, using my shoulder to make her spill her wine. Hey, watch it, she shrieked. I walked through the living room. Mom finally looked up and asked, Jessica, where are you going with that bag? I didn't answer. I opened the front door, and the heat from outside hit me. It smelled like freedom. Jessica, get back here. You can't just leave. Who's going to clean up this mess? Lily yelled from the hallway. I stepped out onto the porch, ushered Tom into the car, and buckled him into his booster seat. I threw the bag in the passenger seat and placed the dripping, ruined tablet on the dashboard. I got in, locked the doors, and started the engine. As I backed out of the driveway, I saw them. Lily was in the window, shouting, and Mom was standing behind her, looking confused. Dad hadn't even turned his head from the TV. I put the car in drive and didn't look back. We checked into a motel off the interstate. It wasn't luxurious, but it had a locking door and no one screaming my name. Tom sat on the bed, quietly coloring on the back of a receipt with a pen I found in my purse. He was so used to making himself small. I sat in the plastic chair by the window and pulled out my phone. I got a notification that Lily was live. I clicked the link. There she was, bathed in the artificial glow of her ring light, holding a glass of wine and looking sadly into the camera. It's just really hard, she was saying, her voice trembling. When you're trying to build an empire and elevate your family, and you have toxic people around you. My sister literally stormed out today because I asked for a little professional courtesy while I was filming. She dragged my nephew out into the night just to make a scene. It's jealousy, guys. It's pure jealousy. I watched her face. For years, I had seen confidence in her, but now I saw the desperation. She checked her reflection every few seconds and clutched the wine glass like a lifeline. She didn't have a job, a car in her own name, or any assets. Her entire persona was built on lies using my parents' credit. I closed the app. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt clinical, like when I look at expired inventory. Lily wasn't a sister. She was a liability. I opened my laptop to check my credit. It was clean, but I knew someone was paying for her wine, ring lights, and clothes. I thought about the kitchen table at home, always covered in clutter. Lately, I'd seen envelopes with red stamps and envelopes from unknown banks. Whenever I walked in, Dad would shuffle them under a newspaper, his hand shaking. I navigated to the county recorder's public access portal and typed in my father's address. There, I found a lien on the house, a $195,000 helic taken out 2 years ago, around the time Lily moved back in and started her consulting firm. The property taxes were delinquent, and the lender was predatory. It was then that I realized this wasn't just emotional abuse, it was a crime. And I was the only one who had seen it. As we drove away from the house, the air felt lighter. For the first time, no one was draining us. I used to think leaving would hurt, but now I feel free. Walking away isn't quitting. It's survival. You're not a bank for someone else's delusions. Family isn't blood. It's protection. If you're holding a rope that's burning your hands, let go.